Warning! The anime egotists have opinions about stuff and other stuff. Please understand this while watching the video and know that no opinion is a fact. Not even yours. So please enjoy the video. Or don't.
I'm Android17, and also Psyche's dad, and you're watching Anime Egotists.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where our voice actors make fun of us for some reason. We got me, Foster, and fun fact about me, I don't always want to be here. And I'm joined by my co-host.
Williamson, and I totally agree. Sometimes I don't want to be here either.
Yeah, here's the thing. We have this weird thing where at first you wanted to be friends with me, E, and I hated you, and then it got reversed. So I think we just need a moment where we both openly admit to hating each other, and this channel will really get back on track.
Exactly.
But you're not here to listen to us squabble. I mean, if you are, that's cool, but it's also a little weird. But we're here to talk about anime, as usual. And anime, like a lot of things, has a lot of cliches. A lot of stuff that we all kind of see coming at this point. We're all basically sick to death of a lot of them. Just a lot of cliches that if they disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't be heartbroken.
Yeah, almost every genre has something that the lowest common denominator for that genre always seems to implement, and so that's kind of what we're going over in this video, is the things we've seen multiple times that have led to a stigma holding over a specific genre.
Yeah, just cliches that we just don't really care for anymore. Some of these we'd never even cared for them to start. But don't worry, we don't like to be negative all the time. So sometime down the road, maybe within the next few weeks or so, we're going to be doing a list of anime cliches that we actually like. But we want to start off with the bad stuff. We don't want to do the list together. We want you guys to leave this video feeling sad, just somewhat upset about what you've heard today.
Yeah, and again, some of these may not even, when done right, can be good, but
of course,
most of the time are just thrown in and don't add anything.
Exactly. So, do you want me to start first?
I'll let you go first this time.
All right. So, as always, these aren't in any particular order, but one of the ones I don't like is just the cliche fights. Now, I don't mean like in Dragon Ball or Naruto where people are always fighting or anything like that. No. I mean the fight between the friends, whether it's towards the end, in the middle, just the whole, oh, hey, why didn't you help me out here? Why are we acting like this? And just this whole blow up. It's so unnecessary at times, especially in romance anime where the two main characters are fighting with each other. And the whole time we're not thinking, oh, I hope they get through this. The whole time I'm thinking, why? You sure you want these two to be together? You sure you want this? But no. Oh, we see the fights in movies and TV shows as like right before the part 3 where everything gets resolved and all that. And we all know what's happening. It rarely ever adds anything, so it's on my list.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The few romantic animes I have watched, I've seen that happen a few times where these two people are going to get together, they've built it up throughout the series, then you get to the point and, oh, well, now are they going to get together, or now are they going to go two separate ways? I'm trying to think. There was one that kind of did something else. It was very similar. They fought, but in the end, they just didn't get together. They changed who they got together.
Oh, that's different.
It's like, when you do it that way, like, okay, the fight, that's something new and different. Well, kind of. I think a lot more places, anime, are going to try to do that now.
Yeah, and the worst part is with a lot of these shows, it's never like, well, person A did something wrong, person B did something wrong. No, it's normally person A or the girl did something wrong, and the guy in the end, he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, don't apologize. Don't take that.
Either that or they do the whole pervy moment or something where he gets caught and it's pervy, but he wasn't actually doing anything, and then they get angry. And
despite the fact that this guy has saved your life several different times, has helped you overcome a lot of different trauma and all that, Yeah, you're still gonna hit him for that. Like in real life, would you wanna be friends with somebody who slaps you around all the time?
No, I mean, I can understand getting upset at first, but then I still can't imagine not listening to them while they say, sorry, I fell from here, and I just so happened to crash into the women's bathroom. Because that happens in like every anime, it seems like, at some point.
Maybe that's probably another cliche that should be on this list. But that's my first cliche: the fights between friends. When done well, they're not even done that well, to be honest. So, what's your first cliche that you can't stand?
I'm going to go with one very similar, and this one has recently been lost a lot of times. They've improved upon it is the best way, and that's romantic interests being one-dimensional. I
Okay.
mean, it seemed like throughout the early 2000s, like through 2000 to 2010, romantic anime, each of, especially harem animes, each of the uh, different female options, leads, would be one characteristic, and even the male protagonist, it's bland male protagonist.
Who's kind of a nice guy.
Yeah. Or a complete douchebag. Those are the only two male protagonists for early harem anime, and okay, we've got the oh god, tsundere, the yater, whatever they're all the different.
All the different dares: tsundere, yandere,
Yeah,
dandere. Wow, there are too many of those to count.
but that's only their one thing. They all love the protagonists and are either crazy, angry, happy all the time, and you might get one scene where the happy person cries because they had this trauma in their past, but it's one scene, and then the next scene, either they're going to fight the new villain or they're back to uh, being the smiley one. It's like, okay, no, I want to know about that. I want them to all to have the whole range of emotions.
Right, right. And for this, I don't want to do this too often, but I actually want to provide an example of a stereotype like that was actually done relatively well.
Go
For,
ahead.
for those of you who have been on the channel long enough, you've heard me. I've given Nisekoi a pretty hard time, and deservedly so. But one of the things they did really well was Sugumi. She was one of the what, two, five, three, however many tsunderes. But unlike most of them, when her thing was just I'm super angry all the time, one of the things that made her interesting to me was at the same time she was tried to treat herself as a tomboy, but in reality, I don't want to use the term girly, but she was kind of more feminine in some cases, is like, and she kind of struggled with that because when she was raised, everybody thought she was a boy, except one person was like, "Oh, whoa, you're a girl. That's different." So we get to see different sides of her, like interacting with kids, animals, all this other sort of stuff. I'm like, that's how you do a multi-dimensional character. Please do that with the rest of the cast. And they're just like, no.
Yeah, that's a good example of it being done well. And as I said, it's a lot more of them have been doing better in the more recent years from what the few I've seen. But I just have vague recollections of multiple ones where you could interchange the protagonists and interchange the romantic options, and you'd still end up with the same anime. Just, oh, they went into this cafe instead of a bar, or they went to the beach instead of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, that's they've gotten a lot better about that, but yeah, that definitely would have been on my list.
All right, your next one.
Funny thing though, it kind of leads me into your argument kind of leads me into my next one, tsundere. But I'm a caveat: tsundere when done poorly, because when done well, tsunderes can be really effective. But the problem is they don't really. One, they're overexposed. Like it's been done so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing interesting about it. And second of all, at least for me, part of my problem with tsunderes is how do I put this? That well, I don't remember what video I saw about it, but somebody explained, well, the tsundere is there to provide change for the male lead character, and I'm like, okay, that's good. But the problem nowadays is that's not true. The guy changes the girl's tsundere, not the other way around. Like, he makes her come out of her shell and be a little nicer, not by a whole lot, but a little bit nicer. And the fact that seemingly everything they do is justified, like, it's just like, oh, I hit you because, like we talked about, you were in the baths or you said something. Oddly enough, they hit them sometimes when they say something nice, like, hey, you did a good job up there. What are you talking about? And then punches them. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree that, because that was a big thing kind of in the, I guess it was towards the end of the, where they're just going to keep doing the dare thing, where there's a whole bunch of different female leads, they all have some sort of dairy characteristic.
Right.
They really focused on the tsunderes. I mean, I think one of the worst examples of everyone talks about is Familiar of Zero, where she goes beyond being just angry. She's abusive in that, from what I remember.
Is that the one where the boy goes to the other world and some short pink-haired girl and she's like super.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Anime America has mentioned them a lot, and rightfully so, because it's the worst part is nobody's even there to be like, hey, back off. Seriously, what's your what's your problem? And it's just like, oh, I've been through trauma, and I'm like, oh, that's great, but your shitty childhood does not excuse you for being a dick. Like, just
Yeah, that one's a good example of it just being, as I said, taking it too far. That, okay, now they're taking out all of their frustrations on the male lead, but then in the end, they're still supposed to be believable of getting together.
Yeah, and the fact that, and this is probably the last point I'm going to make about it. If it ended up and it was just a case of every now and then they got smacked, or every now and then they didn't get the main person, I'd be like, I can live with it. But no, they win every single time. Like, I would like to know an anime where the tsundere loses, and I'm sure there are several of them. But somebody put in the comments. Somebody tell us.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And I mean, more than just them saying, "Oh, I was abused as a child," or "I don't have powers," show that side a lot more. Show why they're always angry, but then throughout the anime, show them overcoming it. That, like, where the tsundere becomes more friendly, develops as a character.
Yeah, and
where they're not the tsundere at the end still.
And not just from the male protagonist. Have the other characters have some say in it, because it's boring to see two characters interact the whole time. Let's see some variety with the different relationships. But yeah, tsundere, I don't know how much of a popular answer that's going to be. So what's your next pick? What's your next?
I'm going to go with the power of love or friendship and how OP it can be.
Oh, boy.
I mean, there are so many. I like some animes when they've done it. I'm a fan of Fairy Tail, and that's very much, I do it for my friends, and that gives them the power boost. But then there are some things, oh, well, I spent 2 years training. So there's at least some development in that way. But I've seen that a lot, though, where you're obviously getting your ass handed to you. You're on the verge of death. Oh, your friend takes a hit for you. Oh, now I'm fully alive, uninjured, and am stronger than the bad guy now, just because my friend took a bullet.
Yeah, that happens in Dragon Ball Z a lot when you start to think about it.
Yeah, it's like when Dragon Ball did it back when they first introduced Super Saiyan, it's like, great, that works. He's very angry about his close friend that he grew up with dying in front of him. Then they did it again, and again, and again. And it's just, but anime, there's a whole bunch of different ones where the power of friendship is the most important thing. It's like, unless they actually show that friendship is actually creating the power, then it's kind of like Deus Ex love.
Yeah, I feel like, and it's going to sound like I'm completely biased, But I feel like Black Clover was one of the few times they actually did it kind of okay, because in the Sea Temple arc, when they're all fighting Veda, or one of the guys from the Eye of the Midnight Sun, they all have to team up together. And it's not necessarily, because we're all friends and we're all going to beat you. It's, okay, guys, we have to put our complete trust in each other that we're not going to screw this up. We have to trust each other, or we have to trust each other, or with your healing, me attacking up close combat, and Vanessa pulling us away. If we don't trust each other 100%, we're all going to die. Go team.
And that's not even that they improved their power. It's just that they realized we have to work together to do this. I'm thinking more of the one character is doing the battle, obviously losing. Some side best friend runs out to defend them from a fatal attack. The friend goes down dead or severely injured, and all of a sudden the protagonist is overpowered, completely healed, and able to take on the villain, and then they don't even have to go into recovery. They might show bandages around them in another scene or at the end of the arc, but that's it. It's like, no, okay, if you want them to win the battle, then have it either be so even that it's a back and forth, who's going to win, and it's a strategy. Okay, who's going to win, or that team up idea. Okay, we don't stand a chance as individuals, but if we work together, we can win.
Yeah, that's just, you killed my best friend. I'm like, I was going to do that beforehand. I never admitted to being a nice person.
Exactly. Fairy Tail does it in one arc that, while I like the way the characters get up, it's still like, yeah, they shouldn't be getting up. There's a giant weaponized magic machine, and they've been injured and are lying face down in the ground, and the machine's going to destroy some village, and they're like, well, did you get that? And they're like, yes, and they're all kind of, as they're trying to get up, like they're fighting. It's like, okay, they were on the verge of death 5 seconds ago, and while I like the way they look, how they're getting up, it's still, they're just getting up for the sake of them needing to be the heroes.
Yeah, the power of friendship and love is just ridiculous.
All right, your next one.
All right, my next one, this is kind of an odd one, but I don't want to sound like I'm ripping on romance/harem anime, even though I definitely am. But the sick episode, like the episode where somebody is sick and somebody has to take care of them, and they get closer romantically because of it. I'm like, yeah, because when I think about trying to get with somebody, it's when they're throwing up into buckets and stuff like that. Like, what? Like, how is? Like, it'd be one thing if, like, they hurt their wrist or sprain their ankle or something like that. That's something that makes a little more sense, and that can be fine. Hey, but why is it that whenever, like, if somebody had the chicken pox or something, me spending time with them means we're going to end up together? That's just gross.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm thinking back to some episodes where, oh well, the main love interest is bringing the homework over for the sick protagonist, and maybe it's a cousin or another female from the class is over at the house and falls into the bed right as the female lead comes in to the room, and the female lead gets all upset. It kind of ties it back into they've done it before a lot, where there's also could be a lot of, well, I'm angry at you for having this person in your bed. It's like, he's sick, that person fell into their bed for some reason, you just happen to walk in right at that moment.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd be like, before she said anything, I'd be like, hey, you just happened to walk in at a bad time. And she'd be like, oh, sorry. Hey, but the thing that bothers me and I feel like I've seen several anime that do this. They do the thing where it's like, hey, why are you going over there? And like, to take care of them. It's like, yeah, that's what you're doing. I'm like, you guys have labeled me as the nice guy so many different times. What makes you think I'd be doing anything weird or suspicious or lewd? Come on. Like, how long have you known me? Come on.
Yeah, it's always very situational. They always force stuff in a sick episode, it feels like.
Yeah, like, I feel like in terms of cliches, beach episodes I'm perfectly fine with, but sick episodes I'm just like, okay.
That actually brings up a point, because my next one is
God damn
beach
it.
episodes.
Oh, God damn it.
And
No,
my whole thing is that this one is one of those that I feel like, if done right, like Black Clover, like Another, um, and there's a few more, when they advance the story, when they actually use it for something happening, like spoilers in Another, they have one of their students who's supposed to be dying get run over by a boat. Like, so they use it to advance the story in there. But then a lot of anime, especially the main time I really hated are the 12, 13 episode animes,
oh yeah,
where
it's just a waste of time at that point.
yeah, it's like, okay, could have had a whole episode of character development. Instead, we're having probably 2, 3 male people in regular swimsuits and 10 of the other students, the other female protagonists, uh, or the teachers as well, all dressed in bikinis, frolicking on the beach for an entire 20 minutes that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's get some more dudes frolicking. Come on.
They, what they mostly use it for is to put their female characters in bikinis on the beach for.
Yeah, which gets kind of old.
Yeah, it's mostly that, especially the main reason I bring up the 12 and 13 is I want the story to continue. That could be a whole nother episode of building something up for the story. But when done well, as I said, in Another, they kill off one of the students doing that. They show that they're not even safe leaving the city. They show in Another that's a whole arc is through the beach episode.
Heck, I feel like the very first Gintama beach episode wasn't even about all the women dressing up and everything. It was more about them just trying to get to the beach. Like, that can be funny. That's different. That can lead to some interesting stuff. But no, it just seems like more fan service stuff that just isn't needed.
Yeah. Now, in longer animes, I can understand it. Like, I know Bleach had one, and there's a whole like 30 female characters in Bleach
Oh, Jesus.
that are not main characters, but at least play significant roles in different arcs. So they all show up. It's like, fine, you can have your beach episode at this point. I think it's literally just a filler episode in the middle of one of the arcs.
I hear Bleach has a lot of problems when it comes to filler.
Yeah, they kind of do what the Naruto Shippuden did, where they, like, specifically I'm thinking either the middle of where he's going to the island to learn from B, where there's like 20 episodes of filler there,
That's way too much.
or the dream sequences in the middle of the war, where they're just trying to make sure the manga's done. It's like, yeah, they don't fit where they're forced in, so they kind of do that where they'll have a fight end, and then the next 20 episodes are something else, and then they'll cut back for 10 episodes, and then another kind of 20 episodes of filler. It's like, filler is not good. So
it can be, but most of the time it's just sort of there.
When it's
Anyway,
overdone.
yes. Anyway, so are we ready for my next one?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't really know how to go about this one, and I honestly don't expect us to talk about it for that much longer. But I've noticed this specifically in, like, not necessarily older, but like anime from the past several years. I've really started to notice it. But characters that don't move, like like person A and person B will be talking in the foreground. In the background, you'll just see people not even moving. Or in Pokemon, like whenever people would be watching Pokemon content, as an Ash and Brock would be talking about something, you just see people going like
Yes.
it's weird. Like not it's not that it ruins anything. It's not that it's like a huge thing, but it's somewhat distracting, and at times it's a little creepy.
Okay, I have a very modern example. This anime is actually still premiering.
Okay.
I don't know if you care about spoilers. It's Digimon, the new one from 2000.
Go for it. It's not as good as Pokemon, but okay.
Yeah, I just decided to watch it. So in this one, the city of Tokyo is losing power to whatever the Dark Digimon are in this arc, and they cut back to a scene in Tokyo as they're doing some sort of battle in the digital world, and it's people in an elevator, and they all have their phones out, and lighting up.
Did.
It's lighting up their face, and they show them losing power and losing connection, and no one reacts. They all like the phones all go out, and they just sit there, and it's held on for like a minute. It's like at least have them like put the phone down and looking around or something. Do just a little bit of motion instead of for a whole minute of each phone going out one after the other.
I would love for somebody in an anime where that's happening to be like, hey, why aren't you guys moving? What are you doing? Go, go, go. Why are you sitting there like statues? What the hell is wrong with you people?
Yeah, and I know there's some sort of time dilation between the digital world and that, but there's someone like a news reporter talking over it, so it's like it's supposed to be live, so it's really kind of annoying just sitting there for a minute.
And obviously, there's no need, and I understand you don't want to put money and time into moving these people around if they're just going to be in the background. I understand that completely. It's just something that I don't think I'm ever going to get over. I think I'm going to be like 97 and it's still going to be happening and I'm just going to be sick of it. But I also will have forgotten everything by that point, so it doesn't matter.
Well, the scene before it had, like, because it's a whole bunch of different scenes. It's like cars crashing because the traffic lights have gone out. And that had flames and some characters running around. But then, so why not hold on that scene and have characters running around versus holding for 30 seconds, a minute on people in an elevator and all that happens is their phones go out? Why hold on that scene?
Yeah, like that's one of the things I liked about Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. Like even though the animation was kind of strange and kind of Gumby looking, it didn't have people lingering like that. Like they'd stay still for like a couple of seconds in the background and then start moving and going about their business. But like I said, it's a staple. I understand why they do it. I'm just saying it just freaks me out at times is all.
Yeah, when it's used in the very, very background, when there's a lot going on, it's fine. But when you've got just two characters kind of talking, that kind of, and you see it up close of them as well, it's kind of freaky.
I'm just thinking to myself, are they all just listening to this conversation? Because it's not that interesting, guys. But anyways, what's your next one?
So my next one, I'm going to go with The Last Minute Arrival.
Oh, boy.
They've been doing it probably before Dragon Ball. I'm sure they did it before Dragon Ball, but
yeah, probably.
So something's going wrong. All of the main side characters are getting beat up, and maybe a few of them are dead. But any time now, the protagonist is going to show up, but he's late. He's lost a few friends now, and they're gonna have to fight. As I said, Dragon Ball's a good one. Fairy Tail's done it before.
Naruto.
Yes, it's like, okay. Either go to the extreme, all of their friends have been murdered, please.
Jesus.
Or have them be punctual for once and show up right on time with everybody else and just be like, yeah, I'm here to wipe y'all out.
Oh no, I was thinking something different. The hero shows up at the last second, but it's like we've already beat him. Yeah, we beat him like 2 hours ago. We're all just healing up at this point. What took you so long?
That would be a good I would actually like to see that in Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super if they ever continue it. Have like Goku and Vegeta are off training. There's some villain. They finally find out about it, and then it's like them talking about how they're going to beat this guy because he seems to be so strong. They arrive and Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin have defeated the bad guy.
Oh yeah, we already beat him. It's just like, oh, what took you so long? You literally have an attack that lets you teleport. Yeah, but yeah.
So yeah, there's ways that you can adapt it that I don't think have been adapted. Like you said, have the side characters have defeated the villain already. So, but it's been overdone in a lot of the shonen animes where, oh, last minute, I'm here.
Yeah, and the worst part is it doesn't even make the villain look badass or even the main hero. It just makes all the side characters look kind of useless.
Yeah.
Anyways, that actually almost leads into one of the last ones I had. It was the same hero saves the day. Like it's always going to be main character at A, or it's always going to be Naruto or Goku or somebody. Let Vegeta save the world, and sometimes let Rock Lee, Neji, and Tenten let them save the world. We don't always have to let the protagonist or the main character. We don't always have to let them save the world, especially if it's one of those things where they show up late. It's just like, no, I can do this. I'm like, but I have a technique that would work really well, and it would save everybody with little risk. Like, no, I'm the main character. I gotta do this. Fine, whatever. Just wake me when it's done.
Yeah, it's one of those. It would have been hilarious, like going back and okay, so redo the entire original arc of Yu-Gi-Oh, but somehow Joey wins, and when Pegasus tries to view Joey's mind, he's just so stupid. All he hears is static. Like, so he can't mind read him. So Joey ends up winning the whole tournament by just being so stupid or something. And
That would be. It's funny that you mentioned that, because even though this isn't necessarily an anime, in one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force games, well, in all of them, you pick somebody and you get your own storyline with them. You can do it with just about everybody. But there are different versions of characters, and one of the versions of Bastion is literally just the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX story, but he's the protagonist instead of Jaden.
okay, that's interesting. But yeah, I agree that the whole thing of never letting side characters win a major fight. They might win the training arc fight, but by the time the tournament or the bad guy fight comes up, the protagonist has to be the one who wins.
Yeah.
And that seems like it always happens.
Anyways, what's your next one, since you kind of covered mine already?
Well, that one actually led into one of mine, which was protagonists being born or reborn as like OP. Like they don't have to train, they automatically come out and they're super strong and they have all the powers and all that. The one I really think about was Wise Man's grandchild. He can automatically use all the magic in the world because he knows science. Because that's what magic's based on in the world he's born in. So he's able to manipulate everything. It's like, really? He's automatic. He knows everything about science to be able to create the hottest flame possible or the largest flame.
It really pissed me off when they added that to Naruto, because it ruined so much of everything. Like, remember, Neji always said before his big character shift, you're born a certain way. You're going to die this way. Nobody can change. You're not going to get any better or any worse. Destiny can't be changed. And Naruto's like, no, destiny can be changed. And Neji opened up and was like, okay, yeah, maybe we can all change our fate. Only for them to realize that Naruto was pretty much born to be the son of a god. So that pretty much proves Neji was completely right. And it pretty much ruined it, because you had this great underdog story of this guy who wasn't the best ninja, wasn't the strongest, but fighting so much for what he cares about, only to learn, yeah, he was probably always going to do this.
Yeah, and it seems like, I mean, they're born with something. I'm fine with it when it's kind of like I always picture One Punch Man as kind of the opposite. He did train, but it's kind of off screen.
Right.
So he's automatic. Like the start of the anime, he's already OP, and but in a comedic sense, they're using it differently. So that it kind of works in that way. But when you get the Astas who aren't, I like that. He's not overpowered. He's developed his skills through exercising, and then he's trying to develop his skills.
Right. Unless they do some weird, terrible plot twist where it's like, oh yeah, Asa, your dad, he was the Wizard King like 10 or 12 years ago. We're all gonna be like, what the fuck? Why? It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah, there's going to be some reveal, unfortunately, that'll probably be some where he and are sons of the Demon King or something, and that's going to be revealed in
something like that.
So they're somehow going to cause issues, and I just don't like it when they're born overpowered. It's
yes. And I'm gonna bring up a different example. Oh, why is it that in every single Pokemon movie or something like that, like Ash is like was born as the chosen one, or he has aura power or something like that? Like, don't we already have Pokemon that can basically can shoot lightning, fire, earthquakes, and all that stuff? Do we really need humans themselves to have powers in this world too? And why Ash? Why? I still argue that in the second Pokemon movie, it would have been better had Tracy been the chosen one. Give him something to do for a change.
I could understand that, yeah. Like, because isn't it which one was it? The Ho-Oh one that was Pokemon I Choose You? Wasn't that another chosen one?
I don't know at this point. Like, but I guess my thing is, it's like I can understand if he gained some special ability, which he probably shouldn't have anyway, because it's Pokemon, not Ash. But it's just
Yeah.
I'm with you though. Oh, I didn't realize how much I hated that until you brought up. You're born to do something. No, get stronger and develop it.
That I've recently saw a comic that was it's a meme. It's a mom on her deathbed and her teenage son standing over her. She's dying, and she actually talks about our family isn't cursed. We don't have any special powers. There's nothing special about our family. I don't have any way of passing down something to you. You'll get a minimum of amount of money from me. Just all this stuff that's like not special. But then the end line is, just remember that everything you achieve in your life from this point onward is your own. It's like, wow, that's actually really powerful. Not being born to be great, but having to earn the right to be great.
Exactly. But now I'm upset that you brought up that cliche and that comic. Now I'm even more upset. Why are you doing this to me?
But see, it was something that you didn't think of, but do hate.
Yeah. Should I just move on to my potentially last one?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Moments that are just easily forgivable. Like, let me. All right, that's not the best example, but let me explain. Like, for example, in Dragon Ball, all the times where one of the biggest things in Dragon Ball, there's generally a villain that comes over to the good side, who becomes a friend of Goku's, all the sort of stuff. But there's little to no, like, everyone's just like, oh, okay, he's on our side. It's good. It's just like, no, like, let's see, they've killed so many people, including some of us. Why are we so forgiving to them about this?
Yeah, I think Piccolo is probably the best example of that. Although that's hard to say because it's not the same person. Because
Yeah.
of but the fact that he's pretty much a clone of Piccolo kind of throws a wrench in that.
Yeah, but it's not even necessarily just like big fighting anime. Like, and I'm gonna go back to this. The Sundar, like whenever she punches the main character or knocks him out or something like that, everyone's just like, oh well, that's just the. And I'd be like, no, leave my man alone. What the hell is wrong with you? And then
Yeah,
I'd get punched.
again, I just don't know. I'm thinking that might be a cultural difference. Now, again, it's not really, it shouldn't be accepted just
Of
because
course.
abuse on either side is not good.
Yeah,
But
it's awful.
yeah, I'm guessing it's a cultural thing in Japan. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. And the worst part is when the guy, like, and it's such a cliche. I have to talk about it. When the girl gets mad at the guy for doing little to nothing, and then towards the end of the episode, it's like, "Hey, I'm sorry." I'm like, "You don't have nothing to apologize for." I don't want to keep ripping on this anime because it's not a bad anime per se, but it does a lot of stupid stuff. But fine. In Nisekoi, with an anime just chocked full of cliches. We probably could have done the whole list just pulling from that, but whatever. The three I guess main people, Chitoge, Raku, and Onodera. It's a love triangle sort of thing. And Chitoge and Raku are always at each other's throats. They're always fighting. They're always yelling at each other. Raku's always getting hit, etc., etc. And during oh god, during a beach episode, it gets to the point where Chitoge notices Raku and Onodera are super close to each other, and she's like, why are they so close to each other? Or why do they like each other? I'm like, well, you abuse him almost every single day, so yeah, I wouldn't show much interest in you either. And it gets to the point where she starts getting mad at him and shutting him because she felt ignored or some crap like that. And then, like 2 episodes later, when they finally work things out, he's the one who says, "Hey, I'm sorry, I messed up." I'm like, no, that's not. That's look. I understand that it's a relatively small thing, but that just comes across as so mean spirited and toxic. Like that's a harmful message to send to people.
Yeah, as we said, abuse on either side. It doesn't matter if it's a guy hitting a girl hitting a guy, a girl hitting a girl, a guy hitting a guy.
Non-binary, however you identify.
Yeah, it's it's not cool. And then when you kind of are leading into an abusive relationship when the person who gets hit because they did something normal that the other person didn't like apologizes for it. That's literally the definition of a toxic relationship.
And the worst part is, I'm not even asking for anything like a super crazy gesture. Like I remember at the end, we keep talking about the same anime, but it works in this scenario. At the end of the Sea Temple arc in Black Clover, Asa's like, "Wow, Noelle, you did a really good job out there," and she blasts him with one of her spells because she's super embarrassed. And as he flies off, she's like, "Oh, sorry." I'm like, that's perfect. You said you were sorry. He's okay. There's no long-term ramifications for what you did. You apologize. You're good. It's just as simple as that. Every now and then, just say, "Hey, my bad. I'm sorry. I'll buy you a milkshake," or something like that. Something that stops these people from just looking like monsters.
Yeah, that where the person who is causing it is trying to improve themselves and stop from being an abuser, that works.
Yeah, and like because for me personally, like when we were first watching the war arc, and they said in Naruto, and they said, "Oh well, we're gonna forgive the Sand Village." I'm like, why? Why? Let's see. They aligned with our greatest enemies. They were responsible for killing our leader, not to mention several other people, and we're just gonna forgive them like that. Cool.
Yeah, so all right. Let's see. I think is mine the last one, or do you have one more still?
And if I can think of one in the next few minutes, but other than that, just go for it.
All right. So this one is kind of very specific, and that's when Dragon Ball Z is a good example of this, where
Okay.
the side characters, whole armies, and cities are allowed to be completely destroyed because the protagonist is the only one strong enough. It's kind of
Okay.
playing into the OP kind of thing, where the protagonist is the only one. But I'm just thinking of like when the Saiyans arrive, there's no stopping them. None of the surviving humans, Namekians, half Saiyans are anywhere strong enough to defeat Nappa, let alone Vegeta.
Not to mention that even if they were strong, like hypothetically, if they were strong enough to take them both out, they still blow up a city or two, and they're just like, oh, they're here, let's go. It's just like, well, we could have saved all those people, but guess not.
And but then I go back, like Dragon Ball's the easiest one because I can think, okay, why isn't the army being like have a whole bunch of specialists who are at least somewhat strong as the humans, or stronger than Mr. Satan and no key moves and all that? It's like, because it was only 5 years ago when they were seeing this on a regular basis.
That would be pretty interesting if they just had an army of people with key. That could. Here's the thing: even if they get taken out by the big bad at some point, it would at least show, hey, we're trying to protect the citizens and everything.
Yeah, I think of like if they were on the level of the Frieza Force in the Resurrection F storylines, like whether it's the movie or the TV show. They're not OP, but they're not going to get killed in one hit.
Yeah, heck, I don't even have to go to anime for this. In Power Rangers Time Force, they had the Silver Guardians, and they actually did a good amount of damage to the enemy. Sure, the Power Rangers would always have to step in and save the day, but it got to the point where they were actually like they were evening the herd. Like it got to the point where it's like wow, I could actually believe these guys saving the day at some point.
But I always go back to the um, shonen animes are really bad about it, just
Oh
because
yeah.
you'll see like, okay, we've got an army 10,000 strong marching. Oh, well, the bad guy's standing out on the field by himself. Oh, and now we have no army because he swung his sword once. It's like, I understand maybe have a large number of the army wiped out, but then still show that there are members that are on the more powerful side. They aren't as strong as the protagonist, but they survive the initial attack.
Yeah, that could. It's a small thing, but it would definitely make things a little more interesting.
And that prevents us from having there being such a radical gap between the heroes and then the civilians or just basic military, because there's always, okay, they're dead in 5 minutes, then you've got the other heroes, they're dead in 20 minutes, and then you have the guy who wins the battle.
Yep. Man, shonen. I love shonen anime, but it has a lot of cliches. I'm noticing.
They're the most popular, so they are allowed to get away with a lot more, I feel like.
Yeah, that's something. But anyways, do you have any other cliches you want to get off your chest?
I was thinking of one, but I don't really remember it off the top of my head now.
Alrighty then.
What was it? No,
I mean, it's fine if you can't think of it. We each had 6, maybe even a little more than that. I think that's a good number.
we could go into hairs, but everybody likes most protagonist hair jobs, except for when they get destroyed, like the barber from Naruto.
Jesus, but that could be a whole separate video, my friend. But ah, anyways, we're good.
I believe so.
All right, so guys, let us know. Let us know what cliches you don't like in anime. Do you agree with our list. Whose list do you think was better, mine or Williamson's mediocre list? And if you like any of these cliches, give us some examples of how they were used effectively, because we're trying to get more out there. We're trying to see if there are good examples of this stuff. Obviously,
we mentioned. I mean, Black Clover got mentioned a lot. Dragon Ball, because when it happened, it wasn't really a cliche. We mentioned that these might have been good at one point, but have been overused in the recent years.
Yes, and if you want to yell at me for consistently ripping on Nisekoi, please just let us know. Just let us know, and I will do a very, very one-sided review of it, just ripping it apart, and then ultimately saying, it was okay. Anyways, let us know. And like I said, we're gonna do a list of cliches that we don't mind or even love. Sometime within the next coming videos. We're still working out a schedule.
Yeah, I believe hopefully maybe another one next week. Hopefully.
Well, then again, we also have to at some point we have to do part 2 of Pokemon Journeys, because that just came out yesterday.
Oh, then I have to watch that.
So do I. I'm gonna get on that, and I'll let you know when we can let each other know when we finish, and we can talk about part 2.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a busy week, but I should have time, maybe a little bit in the evening, so I might be done before next weekend.
That's perfectly fine. Anyways, talk to us, put it in the comments. This has been Foster.
And Williamson.
And this has been the Anime Egotist, where our voice actors make fun of us. And with the Anime Egotist, if you disagree, you're wrong. Which itself is kind of a cliche, because we always say that, but you knew what you were signing up for.
You're watching Anime Egotists! And actually, I'm a better trainer than Brendan. Oh, come on, May. A little humility?